Hi! So today we're going to talk about the types of guys that you've been meeting online that are really putting you off of the whole online dating experience and making you feel like you just want to stop with the online dating and maybe transition to dating in real life, dating offline, or you might even be in a place where you're just like, let me just let it happen and see what happens, right? But we're going to talk about the types of men that you've been meeting who have been a disappointment to you online, because it's really important for you to know that these men, that it's not personal, it has nothing to do with you. These are common experiences that lots of women have. Hi, I'm Carisa Montooth, love coach and energy healer, and today we are talking about the main types of guys that you meet online that really turn you off from online dating. And we're also going to talk about how you can make that shift energetically so that you can become really naturally magnetic to your match in real life. Important things for you to think about. One of the things is that online dating can be a really exhausting experience. It can be really almost like a demeaning experience, especially if it's like repetitive disappointments over and over and over again. And I want you to know that it's not about you, in the sense that there's nothing that is wrong with you that keeps attracting these same kinds of experiences into your life, although there is something energetically that we will talk about a little bit toward the end of this video. Also realize that there are some wonderful, amazing, emotionally mature, emotionally available men out there. Just like you're out there in the dating world, they are out there in the dating world too. So take heart. You wouldn't have this desire for love in your heart if love was not out there for you. Okay, so let's get into it. Who are these guys that make us hate online dating? I have run into some of these guys when I was single as well. So I understand. Okay, and many of my clients have as well. So first, let's talk about the enigma. So the enigma has minimal information on his dating profile. He might not have a picture where you can even see his face. He didn't put anything in his profile. He didn't answer any of the questions. He's just completely trying to go incognito, right? He's not done anything. And you wouldn't have approached the enigma if you were just happening to swipe through profiles. You didn't approach him, in fact. But when he reached out to you and you thought, well, let me look at his profile and see if we're compatible, there wasn't anything there. And maybe now he's reaching out to you, like messaging you or something like that. So the thing to understand about the enigma is that, he just has made it so difficult for you to gauge compatibility that any kind of moving forward with him or trying or responding to his message is just wasted time and effort. So really, it's okay to move on quickly, because this isn't a person who put very much effort or energy into his dating profile, so he's not really going to put much effort or energy into the dating process. So we can move on when we encounter the enigma. The next type of guy that I want you to think about is the faker, right? So the faker has old pictures or really heavily edited pictures, or maybe he has lied about his age. And this guy is, someone I've had personal experience with. I remember when I was single, I was talking to someone who told me he was a certain age, which was kind of on, a little bit older than I was used to dating. But I was like, that's cool. I'll get to know him, see what he's like, because age isn't really, age ain't nothing but a number. So if you get along with somebody, it doesn't really matter that much, especially if you're not thinking that much about, having kids and stuff like that. If you've already got kids, if you don't want to have more kids, stuff like that, right? So this particular person, we hit it off. We had a couple great text exchanges, and then we had a really good phone call. And then right when we were talking about meeting in person, that's when he hit me with, oh, actually, I'm 15 years older than my profile says that I was. So what a lot of men are doing is they're trying to get out of they think that they're gaming the system by saying online that they're younger than they are, but really they're just acing themselves out of the potential for relationships, because for us, if you're not honest about that, it's not as much of like an age thing as an ageist thing. It's like, if you're dishonest about this thing, what else are you not being truthful with me about? You know? So when you run into somebody who's lying about that aspect of themselves, or any aspect of themselves, it's okay for you to just move on, right? You don't have to put a lot of energy and effort into explaining why you're moving on, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. The next guy is the overly aggressive opener. So he just comes in hot, right? He's like aggressive. He's kind of hostile. He's very, he talks a lot about what he doesn't like about the dating process. He talks about how pointless he feels like it is to be filling out profiles. And he just seems kind of angry about the whole thing, and you kind of wonder why he's even on here, right? Like, what is he looking for? And the thing about him is that, women have an equivalent to that too. And our equivalent to that is something I call dumping your purse out on the table. So what that means is, like, you come into a situation, and instead of coming into it thinking about the good that could come out of it, instead of coming into it from kind of like an open place, feeling secure in ourselves and just thinking of the world as a place that can be safe for us, and thinking of it like, I'm just going into this because it would be lovely to make a new friend, get to know somebody new, that kind of a thing. Like, that's the mindset that we want to have. That's the energy that we want to have when we're going into dating. Instead of that, we say things like, well, I don't want to play any games, so I'm just going to put it all out there. And, we think that we're just being honest and cutting to the chase. But really what we're saying, and what the overly aggressive opener is saying, honestly, is, I am not emotionally healthy enough to be dating right now. Like, I am still wounded, and I have not taken the time to address those things. And I'm going to take it out on you. I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm definitely going to take that other stuff out on you. So trust your instincts in this situation. And if you are the person that dumps your purse out on the table, then take a little bit of a break before you continue with online or go offline or whatever it is, so that you can heal some of that, so that you are able to come back into dating with a new energy. All right, the next guy is the lazy texter. The thing about the lazy texter is that he just lacks any initiative in any of the conversations, right? So when the conversation dries up, he really expects you to keep it going. And you can tell that, like, nothing's going to happen if you didn't do anything, right? So he makes you feel like you're carrying the weight of the conversation, and that can be really frustrating, because you're not sure if he's actually interested and just busy, or if he's doing some kind of slow ghost on you. Like, you can't really tell. So the thing about it is, you deserve to have someone who's interested in getting to know you and takes the time to get to know you. So with the lazy texter, you don't have to, a lot of times we as women will fall in love with potential. We'll be like, well, it would be so great if, and we think that we should maybe tell him that we want to text more, or that we would love to hear from him more, something like that. A really important thing to understand about dating is, it's not your job to keep it from going off the rails. When you connect to someone and you first start talking, whatever, your job isn't to keep it from going off the rails. Your job isn't to make sure that you make that thing work no matter what. Your job is to collect information so that you can sort out matches. This is a match. This is not a match. This goes to the next level. This does not go to the next level. Like a referee, your job is just to call it. It's not to try to get in there and coach people into being better matches for you. That's not our job. Our job is to keep our hearts still, our eyes open, and believe what we're seeing. So if you encounter the lazy texter, you can just kind of wrap it up by not responding anymore. If you want to block them, if you want to delete the chat, whatever it is that you want to do. I am a huge proponent of being honest and concise and kind, and cutting things off, like just being done. Not letting something drag on. So, and I feel that if you're dating, we all should do that, right? We all should be able to say, hey, it's been really great getting to know you, or it's been really great talking to you, whatever it is. You have a great sense of humor. You seem like a really caring person. I think that you're very interesting person or a really fun person, whatever it is. You can say something positive, right? That's true. And then you say, I don't think that we're a good match, but good luck. I'm sure you'll find someone amazing. Right? We have to be able to say that, and we have to be able to hear that, because that's part of dating. And if we don't want to be ghosted, we shouldn't ghost other people, right? So it's a very simple thing, whether we text it or whether we say it, to be able to have that conversation. And it's necessary because it sets you up energetically so that you're not creating a pattern of people ghosting you, right? You don't want to give out something in energy that you wouldn't want to receive back. So that's kind of how you handle a lot of these guys. The next guy we're going to talk about is the shallow conversationalist. So the shallow conversationalist texts you, but he mostly just texts you about himself. He doesn't really ask a lot of questions. He keeps the conversation kind of shallow and impersonal. And, you end up feeling like everything is sort of like a monologue. And this person usually does this more on phone calls or on first dates than they do in a texting way, right? But he makes it really hard to feel seen or heard. You kind of feel like it doesn't really matter whether you're there or not, because it's kind of like he's in a monologue, right? So deep connections have to be built on mutual interest, right? So you can't really waste your time on someone who's not interested in you. And again, you can just say that same thing about, like, you seem like a really interesting person, and it's been great talking with you, but I just don't think that this is going to be a match. But good luck to you. I'm sure you'll find someone who's as amazing as you are. And then you move on. The next guy is the pen pal. The pen pal loves texting with you. And you start to feel like you guys are really close. You texting in the morning, you're texting at night. If you travel, you're texting while you're traveling. You're sending pictures back and forth. He's remembering things that you've told him before. He's asking you questions, and you're starting to feel kind of close to this person, but he never takes the initiative to take it into real life. And that's a problem, right? Because you want to have a relationship in real life, not just a relationship that only exists on your phone, So the problem with the pen pal is that, and this is what I've seen that happens a lot, is that women who've been hurt a lot in the past love the sort of like the consistency of communication with the pen pal. It feels good to know that someone is thinking about you. It feels good to know that you can pick up your phone and text this person, and it feels good to get his texts, right? But the problem is that when you don't take a relationship into real life quickly and think of online dating as just online meeting, right? That's what it is. It's just online meeting. It's not online dating. You date in real life. You meet online, but you date in real life, right? So when we don't take it into real life, we can create these fantasies about what we think this person is like, and they're untested by any reality, right? And that can feel comfortable because we maybe don't want to meet them in real life, because what if they don't meet up to the fantasy? And now I've lost even just that little bit of connection that I felt like I had, that was kind of like getting me through the day, right, with this person. So we really need to take things into real life as soon as we can. And if someone's not doing that, we need to assume that there's a reason why they're not doing that, right? Sometimes it's just it's a situation of, they might be doing the same thing in terms of like not wanting to, burst a bubble of a fantasy, but that's pretty rare. Often what's happening is that they either shouldn't really be talking to you because they're committed to someone else who has no idea that they're talking to you, and they're just pretending to be single, or they could be someone who's not actually on the apps for romance at all, but is rather playing on the kind of vulnerabilities of women who are single and who are looking for someone and who might be feeling lonely. And they're preying on our vulnerabilities by saying, by offering this kind of pseudo companionship. And then what happens is they run this very long con. I've had this happen with countless women who come to me afterwards for healing. And what will happen is at some point in the conversation, it's somebody who lives on somewhere else, right? They live far away, and that's why they can't see you. But, they really care about you, and you talk every day and all these things. And they talk a lot about the future you're going to have together and all those things until you feel really connected and really attached. And then some disaster will befall them. Some awful disaster will befall them, and not only is it usually some kind of an awful physical emergency where perhaps they end up in a hospital, they're in a hospital bed or something like that, but it'll be right on the cusp of them having some kind of major financial windfall, right? So it'll be like, oh, and it was just before I was going to get my first paycheck from my new job that I started. Remember, I was telling you about my new job. So if you can just send me this money, then I'll be able to pay you back once I have the new job, right? If you can just send me this money, if you can just wire me this money, I'll pay you back, right? And if you balk at all, they will start to talk to you about how they were building a future with you and they really felt like you were the one. But if you're not as committed to them or you can't help them out in their time of need, then maybe it's not good for you to go forward. Maybe you're not as committed to them as they thought that you were, and they'll really play on you emotionally. And then when that doesn't work, they may pull out the misogyny a little bit or put a little bit of sexist pressure on there and say things like, well, not being able to trust anybody might be the reason that you're still alone, right? I've seen this happen. If I've seen this happen once, I've seen it happen 15 times, right? I've had women tell me that someone was their boyfriend, and once I dig a little bit deeper, we're talking about someone who they've never even been in the same room with. But they've been corresponding with this person for months. And inevitably, it'll end up in this thing where this person asks for money, and he's in another country, and he's doing this other thing, and then suddenly, it's exposed. So that's the danger of the pen pal, right? You can just assume that if he's not taking the initiative to meet you in real life, there's a reason for it, and it's not good. The next guy that we're going to talk about today is the hasty horn dog. With the hasty horn dog, conversations turn sexual way too early, right? Like before you even feel like you've had a chance to know each other. It may be on the very first date. It may be on the very first phone call. It may be on the second or third text, right? And the thing about it is that it really creates a sense of objectification and makes you really uncomfortable, and it kills any chance of sexual chemistry kind of developing organically because the ick factor is then too much, right? And we need to have the feeling of safety before we can feel that, most women, at least myself and the women that I work with, need to have a feeling of safety to be open to a sexual connection, right? So the problem that I see very often with women when they encounter this guy is that they think the problem is that he just doesn't know that they have a boundary there. So they think the solution is I should just communicate that I have a boundary here and that I need to know someone before I can begin a physical relationship with them. That's what these women are thinking. They're thinking, I just need to educate him about how to date me. And then we'll be fine because everything else is great about this person. Everything else is great on paper. No. It's not your job to educate him about how to date you. When he's doing something like that, your job is just to go, okay, this isn't going to work out. Because here's the thing. He didn't ask about your boundaries. A normal person who's mentally healthy and emotionally mature isn't going to hit the ground running sexually unless you lead with sex. If you're on if you're on an app and your whole profile is about hooking up, then okay. But if your profile, if it says anywhere in there that you're interested in a long-term friendship, a long-term relationship, or that you're interested in friendship, anything like that, if you say that you're interested in meeting new friends, sometimes that can come across as just being interested in like hookups, right? But if you say that you're interested in a long-term relationship, you're wanting to meet your partner, those kinds of things, and he's coming at you with that, at the very beginning, he's not interested in your boundaries. He doesn't think about your boundaries. He doesn't care about your boundaries. He probably hasn't read your profile. So any feeling that you have of like, yeah, but it would be so great because everything looks so great on paper, and he's so, and all these other things that I want in a partner, he's got, and maybe it's a particular lifestyle, or there's like a particular goal or ambition he has, and you have it in common, and he's handsome and whatever. It doesn't matter, because if he's not interested in getting to know you fully before he takes the conversation to a sexual place, then he doesn't really care about your boundaries. And that's the bottom line of that. Please don't waste a lot of time and energy thinking that the problem is just that he doesn't know what your boundaries are. He doesn't know what they are because he didn't ask, because he doesn't care. Okay? So block and bless, move on. There are plenty of guys out there who are going to want the whole package. All of your amazingness. They're going to be interested in getting to know you, and really getting to have a good connection and a good foundation before things get physical. There are lots of guys that are out there like that. I promise you. You might, if that hasn't been your experience, you've been in the wrong places, or we've been bringing the wrong energy, or we haven't been doing a real good job sorting, right? So those are all things that we can adjust. All right, the next guy is the inconsistent communicator. So the inconsistent communicator is a little bit different than the lazy texter or the pen pal. What the inconsistent communicator does is he communicates with you really, really intensely for a few days, and then disappears off the face of the earth with no explanation, and then reappears like nothing happened, right? Maddening. Totally maddening, because it creates confusion and this real feeling of instability, and you're not sure if it's a real thing. Like when he comes back, you're like, so what was that all about? And he'll have some, oh, I was super busy and all this stuff. But like the inconsistency of it makes it really difficult to build trust. Consistency builds trust. So this is another person, you're not wrong for having a need for consistent communication. If that is one of your needs, claim that need. You are completely within your rights to say, this is what I need. Now, again, it's not your job to try to change him. It's not your job to go, I really need somebody who communicates consistently. Your job is to go, oh, this person's not communicating consistently. They're not a match, and it's not going to work out. And then to have that conversation out loud, where you say, you know what, I've really enjoyed some of our texts, especially when we were texting a ton. That was really great, and it was great getting to know you. But I really just don't think that it's going to be a match for me. So best of luck to you. I'm sure you'll meet somebody wonderful, right? You move on. That's kind of the crux, right? We're going to talk about a couple more people, but that's really the crux of it, right? Is that you've got to be ready to walk away. A lot of times women, especially empaths, we fall in love with someone's potential instead of what is actually there in front of us, what they are showing us of themselves. And instead of seeing that, we make a whole bunch of rationalizations in our mind so that we can stay invested, right? So when we're dating, we really need to remember to keep our hearts still and our eyes open and believe what we see. And we think of ourselves more like a referee than a coach, right? Our job isn't, like I said, it's not to try to keep it on the right track no matter what is happening. That's not your job. That you can help to do that in a relationship, and then it's both people's commitment to the relationship that invites them to do that. But dating is not a relationship. Dating is not exclusive, and dating is not committed. Dating is just you getting to know someone over the course of a few months so that you can decide if you want to have a committed and exclusive relationship with them. And then having that conversation together out loud where you agree that the relationship is mutually committed and exclusive. So the next guy that we're going to talk about is the ghost. Everybody knows the ghost because we've all been haunted, right? So it's like you have some great conversations, and he's talking about the future and how he wants to introduce you to people in his family, people who are close to him and important to him. You know, he's saying things like, you know, in the summertime we should go here, or this weekend we should do this, or whatever. You are positive that this person is interested in you. You are positive that there is a mutually felt connection between you and this person. And it doesn't even cross your mind that you're not going to go out on a second date, or that you're not going to go out on another date, you know, or whatever it is, right? And when they disappear without any explanation, it leaves you feeling really hurt and confused. And I think the confusion is a hugely damaging thing for us, because we keep trying to figure out what it was about us that made them ghost. And it wasn't a thing about us. It was a thing about them, right? Because an emotionally mature person can be honest and say, I don't think it's going to work out, but it's been really great getting to know you. You're a great person, and I hope that you meet the right person for you, you know, and it's been good getting to know you. That takes maybe 10 seconds to say, and all dating grown-ups should be able to do that. So this person doesn't have that emotional maturity, and it doesn't feel like it, but you were saved. If you were ghosted by somebody, you were saved. You were saved from a relationship with someone who was not going to be honest with you, was not going to care about your feelings the way that they should have, was not going to care about how things impacted you, and was going to be sort of cowardly about things that needed to be said and discussed, right? So sometimes somebody slow ghosts, right, where they just gradually kind of stop connecting to you until one day you're just not connected anymore, right? Sometimes people do a slow ghost kind of a thing. You know, it's still ghosting, either way. So the takeaway is ghosting is not about your worth. It's about somebody not having the emotional maturity to have that conversation. And I'm going to share something with you at the end of this. It's going to help you if you've been ghosted to kind of heal that wound, to kind of heal the sort of like confusion and pain that leaves behind, and the fear that it's going to happen again. All right, so the next guy I want to talk to you about is kind of like the aggressive opener guy, right? This guy is the misogynistic, sexist dude. He's the guy who he has really sexist attitudes, and he treats you like you're not really an equal. And you can sometimes see it in the profile, but you can definitely see it in the conversation. He'll say things that are really sexist. The thing about the sexist and the misogynist is that he usually comes in two different versions. He comes as a fake ally, right, to women, and he comes as a just really confident misogynist, right? Like think Andrew Tate, right? Totally confident misogynist. So he'll say things to you like this is the true nature of the world, and you're a fool if you don't believe that this is how life operates. And it'll be like, yeah, I can go places on trips with my boys, right, where it's just us. You cannot go places where it's just you and your girls. And that's ridiculous for you to even think that that's possible, because of the way that men will respond to you, and because you'll be leading them on, right? It's like you can recognize the feeling of it because it feels demeaning, and it erodes your confidence and your excitement about dating. You feel like, and in the beginning you might feel like, is he just telling me something that he's trying to tell me the real deal about how men actually think, right? And I should probably adjust to that. Or if you've been around for a little bit and you can see right through the BS, you just write this guy off immediately and you won't feel badly about it at all. Okay, so what is the impact of these relationships? It's usually that you end up feeling really burned out and hopeless. You start to wonder if all men are like this. And you also start to feel like, well, what if I don't meet my person after all? Because if this is how it is and I still haven't met them yet, then what if I never meet them, right? And I want you to know that these experiences are really common, but they don't define you. They don't say anything about you or your ability to be loved or your ability to be dated or anything like that. Because there are men out there who want the same things that you do. There are emotionally healthy, emotionally mature, commitment-minded men out there. Even when you're online, think about this. You're wonderful you who wants commitment, and you're online. So of course there are other wonderful men who want commitment and are online. And even though 90% of my clients meet in another way, which I'll show you, there are 3 ways that 90% of my clients end up meeting the person, and none of them are online. And I'll show you that in a video up here. But yeah, you don't have to meet anybody online. People have been meeting and falling in love and getting married and building lives together for hundreds of years before online dating ever existed. So if you decide to swear off of online dating, you're absolutely fine. But something to just keep in mind is that you need to still do something to clear out your energy, because those negative experiences build up expectations in our energy, and those expectations and beliefs then manifest self-confirming evidence. So we need to break that cycle by healing energetically, not just switching from platform to platform, because you will find the same people in real life that you've been seeing online if you're the same. Okay, so things to understand moving forward, and remember, it's not your fault. Okay, a lot of people watching this have had the same experience, and you might want to join each other down in the comments and talk about what they are. But just remember, it's not a reflection of your desirability. It's not a reflection of your worth. Remember that there are good men out there. Just like there's good you out there, there's good them out there. Okay? Remember that you deserve to have a loving relationship. You deserve to have that. And you can have that. That's absolutely there for you. And consider offline dating. Consider offline dating, especially if you're feeling burned out, because it doesn't matter whether you pay more for something, whether you decide to do the paid version of the app. It doesn't matter whether you decide to go to a matchmaker. You're bringing your same energy into every situation. And so the thing that needs to be dealt with is the energy, the limited beliefs that have started to come out of that, the beliefs about what you think that men are going to do, what you think you deserve to have, what you think is possible for you to have. All of those things have been shaped by these past experiences, and they will continue to attract and to manifest the same kinds of experiences until they are addressed. Okay? So, before you start dating again, take a really important step. I have written a free ebook for you. You can go to theheartachecure.com, and it's going to show you the 5 major energetic wounds that I see over and over and over again in my clients. And it's going to talk to you about how to fix and heal those things, so that when you go back into dating, you can go back into dating having cleared the decks and just have a really fresh start, right? Because if you don't do those things, when we don't address the energetic component of it, it's like trying to drive with our parking brake on, and it just doesn't work. But when we address it, we become magnetic. So then it's not about the app. It's not about where you go. It's not about what you do. You could meet him at the grocery store. You could meet him at Starbucks. You could meet him unexpectedly at work. There are a million ways that you can meet him. Okay? I met my person because he came to my house. Okay? I didn't even go anyplace. So energy healing, healing your own energy, clearing things out of your energy is super important. And share your experiences. Share your experiences in the comments. It's really helpful sometimes when you share your experiences and other people share theirs, because then you go, oh, I'm not alone. Other people have had to deal with the faker, or other people have had the misogynistic guy and had to deal with that. Other people have had this happen to them too. It's not an experience that's so unique to me because somehow like I deserve it or something like that. You're absolutely worthy of love exactly how you are right now. The problem is that you have some beliefs and you have some wounds that are keeping you from being in your full magnetism when it comes to love, right? And you don't have to be 100% healed, and you don't have to be 100% positive. You just have to clear out the specific obstacles between you and love, right? Between you and dating, okay? So definitely go into the comments and talk about what your experiences with dating have been, and I'll meet you down there. And also, like, share, and subscribe if you want to have more tips about how to attract and sustain happy, healthy love. And just remember that you don't make love happen, you make love welcome.